We have 600 billion. I was doing the research. It's actually 2 episodes ago when we were talking. Is that 600 billion? We have $600 billion going to charity. And I don't want to. This is the question. The question that we have to figure out here is, and I've done the math. They estimate that it would be 30 to 100 billion to end, to like fix homelessness for kids. I've done the math. I could do it on $1 billion. You give me $1 billion, and I could make sure no kids are sleeping on the fucking without a roof over their head. And I could do it. I could do it on $500,000 and then make another couple billion. I bet anybody, if you want to donate, you should, because I'm gonna go. There's no way in $600 billion. I don't know where it's going, but it's not effective. And I don't mean to say nothing negative about the existing charity altruistic landscape, but it needs a little bit more competency, focus, and it needs alignment. You got to take all the stakeholders, you got to take the businesses, the government, and the community, and rally it together. And I don't think people are thinking globally enough about it. Child hunger, child homelessness is a solvable problem. If only some stupid idiot, I'm pointing at myself, was willing to go and try to do it. And here we come. BQ fam, look, I don't know if you listened to the last episode. If you didn't, you should. But this one gets me significantly more excited than that one. People would look at me and be like, why do you have 25 episodes and nobody following you? It's like, I didn't want to promote me talking at a screen. This I will promote. I think every kid, well, I'm doing a terrible job here. Who am I talking to? I'm talking to Paul Lewis with Big Brother, Big Sister of Metro Chicago. He was very shy about his numbers, but I think there's 200 to 500 kids that are waiting for Biggs, which is a mentor. And that's a chronic crisis, in my opinion. And it's something we should do something about. So if you're in my network and you have a little bit of time and or money margin, I don't think there's a better impact on society than partnering with these people. So we talk about it. I think it was one conversation of many to come with the people that are trying to breathe hope into children, which is opportunity number one to me. That is a fight worth having, and we're going to have it. So I hope you guys enjoy Paul as much as I did, and we'll tune in later. Mr. Lewis, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on, bro.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
Yeah. So, you are in charge of what do you guys call a location of a charity that I think is doing the Lord's work and needs to be more main stage. So that's why we're here. How do you describe your position, or what does that mean? How do you actually say that smartly instead of sounding stupid?
Sure. So I work for Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Metropolitan Chicago. Certainly not the one in charge, but I do oversee the front of the half of our operation. So my title is the Director of Customer Service and Community Engagement. So I oversee all of our recruitment efforts, all of our community engagement, all of our enrollment. So once we find families and volunteers that are interested in being a part of our organization, I have a team that gets them through the process, sets up fingerprinting, interviewing, reference checks, background checks, and then actually making the matches. And then I have a small team that actually does the match introduction meetings. So they facilitate meetings when the volunteers are meeting their matches, the families, for the first time. So any given day, I oversee our customer experience team and our enrollment and matching team, about 14 full-time staff, give or take.
Got it. You got 14 full-time in Chicago. Okay. Well, really quick, if you don't mind, can we just get a backstory on you? Tell me, Paul, how did you come to be with Big Brother? Take me from birth to today.
Oh my gosh.
If you don't mind. I know it's a little vulnerable, but.
Yeah, no, not at all. Probably the story is easiest summed up, kind of what I did after college. So I ended up getting my degree in criminal justice. So originally thought I was going to go and be a police officer. And then when I was doing my ride-alongs with the police officers, which is basically the last thing you had to do before you get the degree, I went to Indiana State University. I was really kind of turned off by the ride-alongs I was doing in particular. They were all about responding to crime as they occurred, and I was really interested in like crime prevention. So I ended up kind of getting turned off by that whole thing. I really wanted to work in the community and work with people, before they ended up in the system and committing crimes. So what ended up happening is I ended up becoming an armored car guard for a while, and so I was driving around those big armored cars and picking up money from fast food restaurants and banks. And so I did that for a while, and kind of got bored with that because it was obviously a very stressful job and not a whole lot of pay. So I ended up randomly teaching first grade in Gary, Indiana. They needed warm bodies. They couldn't find enough teachers that had the right certifications for a particular school in Gary, Indiana. And I had some experience substitute teaching. So they gave me a first grade classroom and I was kind of off to the races. Did that for a couple years. I learned a lot. It was a kind of a trial by fire experience because, substitute teaching and then teaching first grade is a lot different. But I did learn a lot about myself and about, how to support people in the community. And I also learned that you should definitely have a background in teaching and go to school for teaching before you're responsible for a first grade class. But that's besides the point. But that was really where I got a lot of my experience just kind of in resource coordination for families. When you're teaching in Gary, Indiana, it's a very under-resourced community. So, I spent a lot of my time working with families and trying to help them find the resources that they needed in the community, food, after school help, sometimes, people that were hiring if some of the families needed work. So I ended up really enjoying that part. And so finally the state of Indiana came in and it's like, hey, you can't be teaching without a teaching license. So I couldn't teach anymore. And I ended up kind of starting my nonprofit path, got a job in Milwaukee where I was coordinating resources for underserved youth that had severe mental health issues. So I did that. It was very much like on the ground in those communities every day. Enjoyed that. And then I ended up meeting my current wife in Chicago. And she's like, you should move to Chicago. So I did and found a job with Big Brothers Big Sisters. And that kind of started the journey. And I started there in 2012. So it's been a little over 13 years when I've been with the organization pretty much full time the majority of those years. Had a stint where I left the organization during the pandemic, did a couple years as a director for a nonprofit in workforce development. And then when Big Brothers Big Sisters kind of did some restructuring, they brought me back in for this current position. And I've been here almost a year. So
there you go. So where were you born and raised? Are you a Wisconsin guy or where were you?
No, born and raised in Northwest Indiana, but lived a little bit in Nashville, Tennessee, and then lived in Milwaukee. I know I've been in Chicago since 2012. So.
And if I was awesome, I appreciate the story. So your heart has been. Do you know your why? What you've always been for the kids and for helping others? Where does that seems deep rooted in you? A
couple different things. I mean, I think, first and foremost, I like the idea of being out in the community and trying to help. I think there needs to be people that work in communities that aren't responding to tragedy, that can actively be there before, tragedy can be defined as a lot of different things, right? But, I think in those communities, in Gary and, parts of Milwaukee, and especially some of the communities we serve here at Big Brothers Big Sisters, these are under-resourced communities and they need a lot of support. And I think what I really love about Big Brothers Big Sisters, especially, and why I've been here so long, is the mission is very, very easy to understand. We don't have this big bombastic mission where we're trying to solve climate change or end gun violence. We're just saying we're going to take one kid from the community at a time. We're going to match them with a mentor that can provide them guidance and support and help them understand the world around them and expose them to things that will make this child become, a richer, more well-rounded person. And, if we stand by that child and help them make decisions and help them navigate life, over time, they have a greater chance for success. And studies have proven that, kids that are in our programs, have a much less degree of getting in trouble with the law, a much higher graduation rate. And I think that's, Instead of trying to solve a huge issue, we solve it one child at a time. And I think that's a realistic mission.
That is really, anyway, we're going to get in. That's my statement was like I just need to find one kid. So that's fun.
Sure.
So tell me from, any kids for you?
I have one son. He's
Okay.
He's 6, just turned 6 in first grade.
Nice. Is he okay? Cool. What's his name? If you don't
Alexander.
want to shoot.
No, Alexander. Yeah.
Cool. Alexander, if you're listening, thanks for letting us borrow your dad for this show. Yeah. So let's talk all things. Let's before I have some thoughts. I have some thoughts. I've been bothering you with them, but mission. How do you guys categorize your mission, and how do you guys measure success at Big Brother? There's one number you've told me that I'm super keen on, but do you guys have a purpose statement, vision statement, mission statement? How, from your word, I know you said one kid at a time. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
But
our mission statement really is to help children realize their full potential, right? And success can look like a lot of different ways. I mean, we try to for us as an organization right now, we want to serve as many children in Chicago as we possibly can. We know that the need is there. The work is never done. So right now we're kind of in this period of growth. And it's a very tough landscape for nonprofits right now. Ours included. But like many others, it's changes in administration, the climate, it's tough, but we're still pretty committed to growing our organization and serving more kids. But then you kind of look at like the specific measures of success, per individual, right? So we have a match support team, which is kind of like the case management side, and we do like yearly surveys. We survey the volunteer, we survey the family, and we survey the youth, and just try to see how their mindset has changed over the course of that year. And we can measure success individually based on how those results kind of pan out, right? Is the child missing less school? Are they having less fights? Are they not being accused of bullying? Do they have a positive outlook on their future? Do they feel like they've been exposed to opportunities and experiences that they feel like they wouldn't have otherwise? So I feel like those are our two main areas of success right now: growth and quality matches.
And do you mind sharing how big of a budget Big Brothers has? Do you know how big? Because you guys are, I think, of all the charities, I think you guys have been wrestling with this idea of like taking $1, like in Wall Street, we take $1 and make 10. In business startups, we take $1 and make 100 maybe. And then in charity, we take $1 and we get like 50% value. I feel like you guys, and this is why I'm excited about what you all doing. You don't need a whole bunch of dollars. You really just need time and investment and a little, like, and we're going to do a little exercise here together, which will be fun. But what is the budget? How many volunteers? Can we get like a 30,000 foot view? And if you're not equipped for it, I'd love to talk to the corporate people too, because I have some thoughts for them as well.
Yeah. I mean, ours is, under 10 million. That's not my wheelhouse. So I don't want to give you a specific number and be off, but I know it's under 10 million. And that's just Metro Chicago, right? Like, there's a Big Brothers Big Sisters affiliates all over the country. Anywhere you go in the country is pretty much served by a Big Brothers Big Sisters affiliate. We're obviously Metro Chicago, so we're one of the bigger ones. But the fun example, when I was in Fairbanks, Alaska, there was a Big Brothers Big Sisters of Fairbanks, Alaska that I visited. So even all the way up there in the interior of Alaska, there's a Big Brothers Big Sisters agency, much smaller than ours, but I think we're. And to answer your point, yeah, I mean, we're really we've learned to do more with less, right? And obviously we had a bigger budget, we could have more staff that could have more specialty in different ways that we can serve children. But right now we're running a pretty lean operation, so we're really trying to. Our big thing is like, you got to have great staff, and you got to provide great benefits and great perks, because that's what keeps people at nonprofits outside of the mission. Mission hopefully is always going to be number one. But other than that, we try to be very good stewards of our money and invest as much as we can to the families and children we serve. But number one cost is always going to be staff.
Yeah. Well, and I was just curious because I'm like, St. Jude's, like all the big charities are running $1 billion budgets, like
Yeah.
billion. And I'm like, we don't need that to do what we're doing here. So is there,
No.
if I can, who, do you know, we'll send this to them, but who would it be if I wanted to talk to like the directors or the higher ups? Do you know who I could get to talk about like high level strategy?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say you'd probably talk to, Everardo Franco. He's my boss, so he is the chief operations officer. Finance would be Tim Court. He's got in charge of all things finance. So,
Okay, cool.
Those would be probably your main people, all the way up to Jeremy Foster, who is our CEO.
Does he like talking to people, or would he want me to leave him alone?
He's pretty. I mean, if you catch him at the right time, he'll talk your ear off. He's a great guy.
All right, there you go. Okay, and then so. I've noticed you guys make a pretty big investment in the NFL, right? There's a lot is that true? I feel like you guys are partnered in with some big sports, or did I make that up?
No, they mean the NFL. They kind of sponsor. They're like a sponsor of our organization. So, and that's like at a national level, not so much like Metro Chicago. We kind of reap the benefits of that partnership. But yeah, they had a commercial that featured Big Brothers Big Sisters during the Super Bowl.
Okay, maybe that's why I when I first started looking at Big Brother, it was like I couldn't tell if it was an NFL, if it was just an NFL thing. But can you give me? I have my own view, and I don't want to impart it. Yours is more important. Like the strength of the charity, the weakness of the charity. Let's kind of do a little bit of a SWOT here, just like what. I think I have an answer, but like as you see it, kind of where do we sit today? And then if Paul had a magic wand and could just resources were no option, what would he do?
Yeah. I mean, the strengths of our organization is sort of that brand awareness. I mean, I feel like, Big Brothers Big Sisters, we're a 100-year organization. A lot of people have been impacted by our programs. I meet people all the time that were former bigs or former littles that still talk to their bigs, like former littles that still talk to their bigs, when they're in their 40s and 50s. Those are stories that I really love. So I feel like just our brand recognition and our history is one of our strengths. Weaknesses, I think, like very chapter by chapter. I'd say our biggest challenge as an organization here in Metro Chicago, and this is just kind of in my wheelhouse, the things that I deal with on a day-to-day basis is, just finding volunteers, right? We ask, we're powered by volunteers, right? If we didn't have volunteers, we wouldn't exist as an organization. And, we served, 1,600 kids last year. Which is a pretty good number, but we could do a lot more if we had, I'd say specifically more men. We always have more boys on the wait list that we have to have stay on the wait list because we don't have enough men to volunteer. And we are asking a lot, right? Like we're, a lot of times, I always look at like, when people want to volunteer, sometimes it's like, I'll volunteer, I'll work at a food pantry for the day, or I'll do this. It's a day. I just have to show up for a couple hours. I'll take a selfie and I'll take a video and I'll let everybody know on social media what a good person I am. And then, I'm done. I'm done for the day. At Big Brothers Big Sisters, we're asking for a much larger commitment. We ask it for a minimum of 1 year, right? So when we ask somebody to volunteer 2 or 3 times a month for a minimum of 1 year, but if we do our job right and you really connect with the child that you're matched with, it's not, you're not going to be after 1 year, be like, I'll see you later. Right.
It's a lifetime.
It's a lifetime. Right. And that's a big ask. And we understand that people go through different cycles in life, and, not all of our matches are going to last a lifetime, but they might last a few years, and then somebody moves or, somebody's schedule changes. But, a lot of times people keep in contact over the phone, things like that. But, we ask for a 1 year commitment, but generally speaking, it's a lot more, and that can be intimidating to people, right? They might love the mission, but they might have kids, they might have.
I'm
jobs.
not letting you get away with that. It's not a big commitment relative to what it's a small. I mean, it's like, and I can't make the commitment because you guys aren't flexible for me, and I'm not in state. But what is it? It's once every 2 weeks or once a month, isn't it? Once a month, an hour or two, maybe 3. What's the actual commitment that you guys are asking for?
Twice a month. And
2 times a month.
Yeah, it's for our site-based programs and our community-based, which is more flexible, our community-based, where you can kind of work around your schedule and the families. That's also twice a month too for a couple hours. And to your point, like it isn't the way that we frame it is it's not a big commitment, right? Like the example I give is like, if you're in a community-based program, a lot of times you can get those hours in just going about your daily business. As like, when somebody says, oh, twice a month, it's like, well, do you ever go out to lunch, right? Or do you go to Target, once a month and run errands? All of those things you could do with your little, right? Because you're spending time with them. That's that quality time instead of eating by yourself at lunch. You're hanging out with your little, having a conversation for an hour. You're checking in. You're going to Target. You're doing shopping. That's still time that you can talk and engage with your little, get them out of the house, expose them to new things. So it isn't a big commitment, but it can be. Everybody. I always say everybody's different. And I think what's great about Big Brothers Big Sisters is we have community based, which is flexible. You can work with the family and schedule those outings on your own time. But if you're somebody that's very schedule based, site based is a great opportunity. Every Tuesday at 6:00, I know I got to be here, and my little's going to be there, and we're going to meet. And there's going to be other matches there, and it's more you get a better sense of community in site based too. So yeah.
I think so. We're gonna. So the number you haven't given me is how many littles are sitting on a waiting list in Chicago, waiting for a man to say, I'm going to invest an hour or two, maybe 3 a month in you.
I don't know the exact number off the top of my head right now, but we're probably in the hundreds. It's definitely in the hundreds.
I swear somebody told me it was 500. I thought it was 500. Did I make that up?
I mean, it's kind of complicated, right? So we have kids that have been interviewed that we call them ready to be matched. They're sitting there, everything is turned in, and they're just waiting for a match, right? So there's a specific number of that, but there's a lot of families that call, and then we say, hey, we'll look in the neighborhood. Hey, we got 50 kids that are waiting, that are kind of like ahead of you. Call back in a few months, and we'll see if we have more mentors in the ring, or we have there's less kids on the wait list where we think we can match your kids sooner. So there's a lot of kids that we'd say are on the wait list kind of unofficially. And I'm sure that number is considerably higher. And, one thing is we want to be honest with families, right? Because a lot of times families come to us and they really want to enroll their kids. And we say, hey, there might be a wait. We don't have a lot of mentors right now, or we're in the process of recruiting mentors. And we don't want to set expectations that we're going to match you right away. In some cases we can, right? Sometimes people get lucky. We get a couple great, I do a recruitment event and I get a couple great volunteers that sign up right away. And all of a sudden I'm like, man, you'd be a great match for this person. You'd be a great fit for this person. But we don't want to, I think the hardest thing is to tell families, we never want to say no, right? We never want to say yes, but, or yes, and, but there is a lot of kids, south side of Chicago, west side of Chicago. Even we serve kids in the suburbs too. So, yeah, I'd say on any given day, it's definitely in the hundreds.
Yeah, we're gonna reckon with that, bro. I don't know if it's tomorrow, but I just don't think that should be. I don't think you're asking enough that should be that hard for a few capable men and women to come and to invest. So let's do a thing here. Let's just say it's at 200, because at some point you told me it's 500. I bet you it's closer to 500 if you were saying yes, come and apply. But so we got 200, and I think the world exists and sees dollars and cents. So I just want to do an exercise of because I've experienced this in my life, but to give one kid hope, I want to quantify that in a way that is relatable, that is meaningful, and I suspect that it will be inspirational. Do you have any idea what it costs us if somebody, and I can look this up too, but do you know what the cost on society is when we're not even in the first world cost to send somebody, if they get put into juvie and the whole system? Do we have any idea what that cost is to society?
I want to say it's last I checked, and I could be way off, but I remember that it's around $38,000 per year to incarcerate somebody. Although now, it's probably much more expensive. If I got that figure 5 years ago, it's probably much more expensive now, but I feel like that's the number that's stuck in my head from what I remember. And the cost of putting a child in our program, and they just did a study a long-term study that they just released in 2025 that just like the cost of having kids in our program, how much money they make as opposed to kids that were, not in our program or maybe needed supports and ended up going into the system, how much money that costs society as opposed to how much more money the kids make that had a mentor through our programs and how much like tax revenue that that provides for the government. Right. So you look at
do you know what that is? I'm ever curious. I would assume the kids that get a mentor out earn by two, if not 10 times.
Yeah, it's quite a bit more. I don't know the figures off the top of my head, but I could certainly send you that study. And
please.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll put in the link. So here's my math, and I knew in my head I was like, this every kid's worth $1 million, and how I would have come up with that is, well, one, those have been through some shit, right? Those are guys and gals that go on to do great things because they overcome and they persevere, and all it takes is to breathe a little perseverance is like one person to believe in them, right? Like that's literally all we have to do is say, hey, you could be more than this, you don't, right? And so basically, if they get put in the system, I'm going to call it, they go through the system, right? Foster care, juvie, and then hopefully not, but maybe prison or whatever. That Claude estimates that at 500,000 to 1.5 million. I'm saying there's another million in potential for the upside, right, on the other swing. So like I can make a case that every kid is worth $1 million to society. So in that instance, like I'm going to say it, Paul, what the fuck are we doing? We can't find people to come and give time. Like we got to be able to do that. We have to be able to do that.
Well, I look at it as a numbers game, right? Like, part of my job, in the community engagement realm is you get me in front of 50 people, give me 10, 15 minutes of their attention, and I'll sell the program, and I'll probably get a whole bunch of people that are, interested in the mission, but maybe don't have time. They have families, young kids. But then you give me, 10 people that are willing to step up, and then maybe some of those people drop out through the process. I think our rate now is for every 100 inquiries we get from volunteers, I think it's roughly 25 to 30% actually go through the entire process. And those are people that have expressed interest, right? So you imagine, I talk to 100 people, I expect, 10 to 15%, because, I'm out in the community talking about our programs, and, I'd like to think I give a pretty good pitch, especially because I've been doing it for as long as I have. But it's not for everybody, right? It's not for everybody. We know that the commitment's there. People don't have time to volunteer. But that's why it's like I have to talk to as many people as I can, because that's it. It's just about numbers.
What do you think the attrition rate is? Why do you if you said like 30% of people that express interest actually go through? Is it what do you think the fall? Like I'm sure there's any number of reasons, but like the tributary, the most common.
We ask a lot from volunteers. We do background checks. We do references. We do a pretty in-depth interview. We ask them to go. They have to get their fingerprints. They, in some cases, they have to go and get TB tests if they're working with, some of our specific schools. There's a lot. We have our, child safety is our number one priority, right? So we really have to do our due diligence and make sure that the people that are coming to us to volunteer are safe, and they can't have any red flags. We don't accept every volunteer that comes to our program, and it could just be something as simple as like they might not connect with a child, or so there's a lot that we ask from volunteers. Some of it can be very intimidating, right? Like, oh, I saw the commercial during the Super Bowl. I inquire, and then I found out it's the commitment or the things the things that I have to do to become a big are much more than I anticipated, and I don't have time. I mean, I think those are probably going to be the most common. I'd say the most common excuse that I've gotten, especially from men, is like, oh, you don't want me as a big. I'm, I've made all these mistakes in my life, and I've got this going on, or I've got that going on, and I was like, the imperfect people make the best mentors, because those are the people that have made mistakes and learned from them. And those are the people that provide the best mentorship, in my opinion. So that's always my rebuttal. But I think once you're matched and you see how good of a job we do at matching you, like, then it becomes like all of those things kind of go out the window, right? Like, then time doesn't really become a burden, right? All these hesitations you've had, because you're enjoying your experience, you're making an impact, you're helping somebody out, you're feeling good about yourself. The adult mentors grow just as much as the kids do, because you tap into these parts of you that I think make you a better person and give you a better understanding of yourself and society in general. And I'm saying that as I was a former big for many years when I was in college. And I think it helped me kind of prepare for fatherhood a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, everybody thinks that charity of what you're giving away. They don't realize what you're getting. The bigs probably have more to gain than the littles. But let's talk about you said a few things, but like, is it? I'm inferring here, but my assumption is there's two things. There's the illusion, and I think you're feeding this a little bit, if I may, because I don't think, like, I know what it takes to run a business, and mentoring a kid is a lot easier. Like, the illusion of, like, it's a huge commitment. I mean, it is, in fact, but it's like time wise, it's really, I consider it trivial in the grand scheme of life. Now you're in charge of this kid's well-being. That's huge, right? You're a part of this kid's life. Like, the implications of the commitment are huge. So I'm going to say there's this, I'm going to call this the illusion of time. There's the pressure that's real, right? Which is, I'm responsible for this kid. And then there's this imposter, right? There's this, like, I'm not worthy. Are those the three buckets? Am I covering most of your why mentors drop, or is there anything else?
I would say you probably hit the main ones.
And what do you think the predominant one is? If those are the three big categories, we've got this illusion of the time is too much, which is both, it's not that much time and you have no idea what you're getting back. And then we have this pressure. I think this is the most valid one, is like taking accountability for what you're stepping into, which is like, this kid's well-being is going to be, I have an agency and I'm responsible, and that's scary. And then there's the imposter syndrome of, like, hey, I don't have it all figured out, and I'm pretty insecure. I'm not equipped for this. What do you think? What do you think dominates?
Time and pressure are the two main ones, I'd say. And
okay, it's the first two.
And it's 2025. There's a lot of adults struggling too, right? And I think you have to be in a certain mindset when you are in a good place in your own personal life, that you're saying, now I'm ready to give back to my community. I have the time, the space, the energy, and the desire to now give back, as opposed to many adults who are struggling. They're trying to get by day to day. They're not in that mindset where it's like, how, I always say it's like the legacy mindset. I'm speaking from, I'm sure it's the same from a female perspective, but from a male perspective, I'm always thinking about legacy, right? Like, how do I leave a lasting impact on my son, a lasting impact on my community? How do I know I'm going to try to leave the world a better place than I found it? And, I speak to that. We do that one child at a time. Great way to put it is, a child maybe comes from less than ideal circumstances, and you end up working with that child and you putting them on the right path. And then all of a sudden they have more hope for the future. They get a good job. You work with them to get a good job, out of high school or out of college. They're building wealth because you've taught them financial literacy. You've taught them how to open up a checking account, a savings account, investing. Now all of a sudden they're building generational wealth, right? And then they're in a place where they can have a family, and you don't know, just by showing up, the long lasting impacts you can have on a child.
Dude, I have so many ideas. I really want to pour gas on you guys. And I know that sounds weird, but I just think this is what the world needs. So just a little bit about me, because we've never met. So I came to a place, like, I'm one of those I don't know what you would want to call me. Like I cracked the code of life in some form or fashion. Like I've built margin and time in my life, and I never wanted to be somebody that was worried about buying a private plane or buying a yacht. Is like how do we go back and give it and pay it forward and spread it. And so we kind of consolidated all the Bible studies, and we're in this, like, I call it the live it study. It's like, let's go and do what. Are you a man of the cloth? Are you a Christian by any means? It's
Yes.
okay.
Yep. No,
I assume so.
Yeah.
I assume so. But yeah, I was like, I got tired, man. I was just like, I don't need to talk theology anymore. I don't want to talk about like what is the Immaculate Conception. Not. It's like he was pretty clear, man. Go and love the world, and things will happen. And so we kind of outlined all the problems in the world, and everything. And it was like, ending child suffering was like mission number one. And I'm like, all right, let's figure out how we affect that fight. And like, been kind of for 8 weeks. I'm like, dude, just one kid. I just got to figure out how do I affect one kid. And you guys have been the most compelling to me. And I don't think we need more charities. I don't think we need additional charities. I think we need better, right? We need better, and we need more concentrated. And unfortunately, like, my direct ability to be a big is tough because I'm a nomad and I'm never in one place. Like, I'm only in Chicago for a week at a time. And so I don't fit your mold. But I very much like this platform exists to go administer good into the world, kind of restore faith in the middle class and all that stuff. Like if you were to tune in, I don't know if you did, it would seem like a bunch of theological, philosophical ramblings, which is not what I want. This is what I want to be doing. Yeah, man, I think I don't know. I think there's a lot that we can do if I can play in your space. But I know we were talking about, so I guess, so for my audience, that's going to be national. I'm going to speak to a lot of construction professionals. I think I'm going to speak to a lot of do-gooders. Like if we say, hey, we like what Big Brothers and Big Sisters is doing on a conventional way, we just reach out to the local version of you and see how to get plugged in and go through the process, or what can we do?
Yeah. So, I mean, on a national level, we have a national website, so just Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America. You can actually put in your zip code where you live, and it'll tell you the affiliate that's closest to that zip code. And like, I mean, there's a couple different things. Like, I'm always going to say in my realm, we need volunteers, right? If you are ready, willing, and able to step up, that's the most impactful way to give back. But if you can monetarily support your local organization, do that, right? If you don't have the time but you have the resources, do that. Or I'd say if you don't have the time, or if you don't have the ability to monetarily support your organization, you know what? Spread the word. Just say, hey, I'm really impactful about this organization. I know they need more bigs. If you have a high number of followers on social media, or you have a strong network of people, spread the word, right? That's I think the three biggest ways to give back.
And would it be fair to say the biggest opportunity, I was going to call it an issue, the biggest opportunity is getting more mentors? I mean, that's the big linchpin, is like we fix the mentor problem, and then that's not problem, opportunity. Like that would be a huge lift for the organization. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say especially for us, I think for me, it's finding places in the community where the men are at and allowing me space to talk to them. Right. I got a 6-year-old, right? So, most of my spaces are filled with other dads, who have younger kids, and, certainly probably are not my core audience because they don't have the time. But, we work with a lot of, we do activations at breweries, other, restaurants and things. We've done community centers. Like we used to table a lot at festivals and things like that. There's some events have better return on, like the best event or the best way to spread the word is get me in front of people and let me talk. I don't want to sit at a table for 8 hours a day. Cause sometimes people are intimidated to come up to you, and that's not always the best, return on investment for my time and the organization's time. But, and even then too, like we're always looking for good people that want to make this a career, right? It's working in the nonprofit realm is hard. And, I think our organization in particular, we have a lot of great benefits, to working there, and I think it's a great organization. You're certainly going to make more money if you go work in the corporate realm, but if you want to feel good about your job, we're always looking for people to come, use their talent and skills to support our mission too.
That's awesome, man. Well, I have a bunch of ideas. I have a bunch of ideas, but I know I committed. We'll get you plugged in with the Fence Association, and then we're gonna try to do a couple events and get some business leaders to stick your face in front of them. So I hope that's helpful. And I don't know. Is there really quick, just in case somebody else is wondering, because I don't even remember. You said there's 2 paths to mentorship. So can you just outline that real quick to make sure we give people the total site picture?
Yeah. So, so for Chicago, every affiliate's going to be a little bit different. Some have more programs than others. But for Chicago specific, there's community-based and site-based. So community-based is sort of that traditional model that the volunteer goes to the home, picks up the child, and does different things in the community, right? So, you could go for a walk, you could play basketball, you could, go to the museum, go grab a bite to eat somewhere. It's whatever you want to do with your little, based on your interests and hobbies, right? And that's very much one-to-one, but you're always going to be supported by a match support specialist from Big Brothers Big Sisters that you can go to for coaching, advice, resources. And then we have our site-based program. And I think we have a pretty robust portfolio of site-based programs in Chicago. Not all other affiliates have as robust of a portfolio as we do. But for site-based, it's one location, every other Tuesday, typically in the evening hours after work. We still match you 1-to-1, but you go to the site, and the parent or guardian drops off you meet with your little on site. There's other matches there, so you still get a chance to interact with your little 1-to-1, but it's much more structured. There's a facilitator. They do led discussions, activities. But for somebody that really wants, I always say this is a perfect thing for somebody that works from home all day and just needs human interaction. Instead of talking to people on Zoom, they go to the site. There's 15 to 20 other like-minded adults with their matches. So you get a sense of community. You're surrounded by people that have similar interests than you, and then it's a much more social. It's fun. A lot of these matches have been together for many years, so it's just kind of a big social fun environment, and it's a way to be a part of your community and see in real time the difference that you're making. And that's for people that very much like structure. I know I need to be here at a certain day and time that works for my schedule.
Good to go. And then for those of us as curious bigs, can we come and just see a site-based, or we got to be through the process? You don't let us there unless we've been fingerprinted and all that.
Yeah, we typically don't have people come and observe programs, but we can certainly. We have videos and things. If people just want to see what a site programs look like, or what different activities we do, we have so many different resources, pictures, videos.
You got to let us kick the tires, dog. We're gonna come check. You got to let us feel the goodness. All right, yeah. And then for my situation, right? Because somebody's gonna listen to this and be like, he should put his money where his mouth is. So I can only be there. I'd love, and I don't have my own kids gonna someday, but if I wanted to. Get matched up, and I could only it would be a week. I'd have to see him twice in a week, and then I can talk to him. I would expect to talk to him every week. Is that something that could be arranged, or is that or it just doesn't fit if I can't? It would have to be my 2 visits would have to be condensed into 1 week.
Yeah, I think you could do that, and then it's all about communication up front, right? If you're saying, hey, this is the week I'm in Chicago, this would be the time that I'd be able to see you. And then we could do phone calls or Zoom calls on the days that, I'm not in the city, as long as the family's okay with that and you're still committed to 2 times a month, we can make that happen.
Well,
it's always good to have all that information up front. So,
yeah, I think, I'm in. I'm in. Can you send me the link to how easy is it to go through? Is it pretty arduous? I hate paperwork. Like when I was in the military, I didn't submit my reimbursement forms for travel because I freaking hated the portal. How hard on me is this going to be?
If you don't like paperwork, it will. I don't think it's a lot, right? Because I think if you focus for an hour, you can get everything in.
I'm still working on my 2024 taxes, Paul.
Well, there's the application. There's the application. There's the fingerprinting. You'd have to schedule time to go get your fingerprints. There's the 1 hour interview. You have to attend an orientation, which is about 30 minutes. A lot of that stuff we do online now to make it easier on people that are busy. So I wouldn't say it's simple, but these processes are necessary to make sure that we're bringing in the right people. But we do get a lot of if some people can go quickly through the process and they're matched within a few weeks. Some people, it might take them a couple months to get everything in. So we just kind of have them in kind of like a holding pattern. We have a team that does a lot of follow-up. So once you submit your application, we have a whole customer relations team that'll talk to you over the phone, walk you through the process. We try to be as customer service friendly as we possibly can. So if people have questions or not sure where they're at, they know that they have somebody that can walk them through the process.
Good to go, man. Well, I'm gonna get you in front of some business leaders. I'm gonna sign up and be a big, and I've got some big hairy plans for this organization. So we'll see if the execs will listen to me. If not, we'll do it one kid at a time, which is more than enough in my eyes. Anything you want to say that wasn't said? Anything that we need to talk about that we didn't?
No, I think the main message that I want to get across is, if we need bigs, and if our mission resonates to you, even if it's not with us, if you live somewhere else, now's the time, right? We need bigs, and I think now more than ever, I'd say with AI coming down the pipeline and all of these things that our youth are exposed to, they're going to need more support than ever, and this is the time to get involved.
I agree. I love the call to action. Well, thanks for coming on. Did I pop your podcast, Jerry, or have you already been on a podcast before?
Not for Big Brothers Big Sisters. I've been on podcasts before, but not.
Oh, dang it!
Not for Big Brothers.
I wanted to be the first, man. Now I feel used and abused. Thanks for coming on, man. I really, truly, I respect and adore the work that you guys are doing and trying to do. And I think I don't think there's any that I've come across with any better benefit to society than what you guys are doing. And I hope to be a meaningful partner at some point. So thanks for giving us the time.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
You heard me do it and the question of this episode is going to be, what's a kid worth? And I think it's 10 million, but I think giving hope to a kid is worth a minimum of $1 million. And I'm going to go and talk to my congressman, and I'm going to figure out how we get some tax exemptions for this work and actually make it monetarily beneficial to do. Not that it should be. Anybody that's going to do it for the money is the wrong person, but we need a better incentive. And I just think it's criminal. I don't you guys spend 2 hours, 3 hours of your month, and you could change a kid's life forever. And forget it. Then he doesn't become a detriment to society, right? He doesn't end up in foster care. He doesn't end up in juvie. He doesn't end up in jail. And he probably goes on to build some of the biggest and best businesses ever. He or she will. Why? Because those that had to overcome something go on to do great things. So this is the meat and potatoes. If people are like, why does Kevin have a podcast? It's because this shouldn't be unique. What I'm saying right now shouldn't be unique. And when I'm fucking done with it, it won't be. It will not be. It will be normal. It should be normal. So my call to action is, look, if you are somebody that is reasonably successful, you're a manager, you're a business owner, and you have margin in your life, I'm sorry. If you have a boat, if you own a boat, you probably have capacity to go change a kid's life besides your own family. And I would just ask you to consider it. If you own a boat, or if you could own a boat, or if you fly first class, or if you have a private plane and you're not mentoring kids, I'm sorry, look in the mirror really hard. And I it's not your burden. But I think it should be all of our burden. And I think we owe it to these kids in underprivileged situations to give them a little hope, because it has exponential potential outcomes. So if that was a little firm, a little fierce, I'm not sorry, but I am honest. So thanks for tuning in to today's episode. This is something I can promote. So I'm extremely excited. We're going to have many more of these conversations, and the world can and should be a better place. You know what it's waiting on? You know what it's waiting on? It's not God. It's not President Trump. It's not Congress. It's fucking you. It's you and me and us. That's what the world is waiting on to look a little different. So say no to gross. Say yes to better. Mackenzie, let's make a shirt about that, and let's go and change the world. One freaking kid at a time. One kid at a time. So see you next time.